Okay. Renee asks, how much longer do you see yourself boxing?
Maybe 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
It just depends. When the young guys start beating me up, somebody told me a long time ago, when the young guys start beating you up, then you know it's your time to retire.
In sparring?
Yeah, it's sparring. Yeah, it's your time to retire when you see shots and you can't really react to them. You get caught with shots you shouldn't get caught with, and you know the guys that you've been beating up starting to catch you a little bit more and beat you up a little bit more, then it's time to hang it up. So when the young guys just start beating me up and I'm starting getting beat up a lot, then I'll just be like, yeah, I'm done. It's time to hang it up. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Renee Boxing, a platform where we simply discuss, critique, and analyze and simply talk about the sport of boxing in a level-headed, mature, coherent fashion. Subscribers since day one, recent subscribers, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks so much for tuning into the Flash Lives. Premieres of the videos such as this, commenting in the comment sections. First and foremost, I want to apologize, for the absence. Just been going through life, you know what I'm saying? You know how it is, man. Taking care of business, and I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry about that, And thank you so much for those who, have been commenting. As a matter of fact, people have been commenting, family, community's been commenting on a video, Errol Spence video that I pushed about a year ago. And it was called Errol Spence Jr, the King for Long, and I kind of want to talk about that today. A year after approximately, about Errol Spence. So thank you guys so much once again for tuning in. And those who are new to this platform, go ahead and subscribe, like it up. If you love the sport of boxing, this is a place for you. Simple as that, man. So let's get right to it. I want to get right to this. Errol Spence Jr., okay? This is something I've been kind of pondering lately concerning Errol Spence Jr. I kind of think he's towards retirement. There was a tweet some time ago, I just don't remember when it was, but he tweeted something along the lines of retiring after the Fundora fight, something like that. I don't remember correctly exactly 100% what it was about. I do remember it was about retirement, but I don't remember if he mentioned after his next fight or something along those lines. Now, this is another thing. Watch, I gotta get this out. Now, just kind of piggybacking off my last video that I was talking about concerning Errol Spence, called Errol Spence Jr. King for Long, okay? That was in the lead up to the Bud Crawford fight. The Bud Crawford fight, at the time I pushed that video, it wasn't official, the Bud versus Spence fight. It was not official, welterweight fight, as you all know. It wasn't official. It was at the time where just fans were going crazy about, the pressure, when it comes to, online, social media and stuff like that, the pressure that these fighters were getting from reporters and interviews, and all these questions were all about, when are you guys going to fight each other? When you guys going to fight? It was around that time. It was shortly before the fight was actually made official. And I remember I was talking about in that video how I was doubting that Errol Spence was going to win. And at that time, it wasn't official. So I was saying if it was against Boots Ennis or Bud Crawford, that they would probably win. Lo and behold, they fought. We already know the aftermath, right? And we saw the fight. Y'all know what it was. And so I'm getting this kind of sense, this feeling about Errol Spence retiring now. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is just speculation, okay? And these are the reasons why. We've seen the inactivity, and we've seen how Errol Spence, he's the type of fighter, man, and I mentioned it in that video. Sorry about the dogs, I already know how that is, right? I mentioned in that video that Errol Spence, in between fights, as of the past few years, it seems like he doesn't live that fighter lifestyle, man. Let's just be 100 with these guys. How I am, how I tend to be with all these fighters, regardless of the names, right? You can tell how he blows up in weight, how he doesn't really live that fighter lifestyle in between fights. The layoffs, the inactivity, not all his fault. And you already know why. Those who follow the sport of boxing, those who follow Errol Spence, the eyes, the incidents that he's gone through, in between fights, which force him to not fight, And in this case in particular, after, losing to Bud Crawford, he's been absent for a while. He's been absent. He's been out of the ring. And then what happened recently? It's been announced that he would fight Fundora. And if I'm not mistaken, okay, that fight was postponed for whatever reason it was. It just didn't come to fruition. And I've just read recently online that it's going to be postponed again. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong in the comment sections. This is why I love the community, man. You guys always have wonderful ideas, your perspectives and, things that I don't know. Please comment in the comment section. But what I've heard and seen that This fight, this Fundora fight that he was supposedly going to have at 154, is being postponed again. If it wasn't postponed once, well, this is the first time it's being postponed. But the fact of the matter of all this that I'm saying is that he's been way inactive. Focusing on promoting Frank Martin. Salute to that promotional, the promotional aspect of Errol Spence's career. That's awesome. Frank Martin, great fighter. That's cool. But other than that, we're not seeing anything, in regards to, Errol Spence training, getting ready for a fight or anything. And I've read, I'm not sure if it's true, right, that he's unfit to fight, which is why the fight's postponed. So, these things, the clock is ticking, ladies and gentlemen. The clock is ticking with Errol Spence. And, him mentioning that on social media some time ago about him possibly retiring soon, I think that's going to be sooner than later, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is the thing about it. I think I read out there recently, I heard that, Errol Spence, I think he was asked, as a matter of fact. I think he was asked. I don't know where he was, but somebody asked him about, his future, whatever. That he wants that, and he's expressed it before, that he wants that Bud Crawford rematch. By the rate I see things, I'm not so sure he'll even get the rematch, because Bud Crawford, man, he's at 154. He's going to fight this Madrimov guy, right? By the time you see this video, they probably already fought. And I personally think Bud's going to, school this guy. But, that's another video. But, the way I see it, man, I don't think Bud's going to give Errol Spence a rematch, because Bud is looking for that Canelo payday, man. He's looking for that Canelo shot, and, I think Bud Crawford is looking for bigger and better things. And if they do rematch, it's not going to look good for Spence, man. For these reasons that I'm talking about. Bud Crawford, man, he stays in the gym. He's always active. Check that video. Link in the description. Also, another thing. Check this out. Shouts out to Brian Custer. Salute to him, what I'm saying? He had that, podcast going on, where he would interview fighters. Big ups to him, man. He has asked several of my questions throughout, the time he's been doing interviews to fighters. Danny Garcia, Deontay Wilder, Errol Spence. There's a couple others out there. I just don't remember. Caleb Plant, also, if I'm not mistaken. Brian Custer interviewed Errol Spence some time ago, and I think this was in the lead up to the Bud Crawford fight. I think it was before it, and I'm not sure if it was announced yet. But Brian Custer interviewed Errol Spence, and and I asked the question, because Brian Custer had the custom of of posting on social media that he's going to interview so and so fighter. Shoot your questions, and I'll ask the questions. So I asked Errol Spence when he was going to hang up the gloves. And mind you, this is before the Bud Crawford fight. This was a while ago. And Errol Spence answered. You can listen to the audio of that interview. I'll leave it at the beginning of the video and at the end of this video. Check it out. And Errol Spence answered along the lines of, when these young guys start beating me, that's probably when I'll hang up the gloves. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that was before the Bud Crawford fight. After he lost to Bud Crawford, it's leading me to believe that Errol Spence is going to be retiring soon, Either that, or he's going to be like, Danny Garcia, where Danny Garcia hardly fights, man. I mean, Eris Landilada and Danny Garcia fight is announced. Recently it was announced. We don't know if it's going to go down, right? Because, this is the fight game. This is boxing. You know how that is. But apparently they're going to fight for whatever belt Lada has. I don't know what belt he has, but it's in the championship belt, if I'm not mistaken, at 160, if I'm not mistaken. But what I'm saying is this. If Errol Spence doesn't retire, he's probably going to be like that, like Danny Garcia, Eris Landilada, where he never really fights, once every 2 years, But I kind of sense it. Another thing is this, man. I'm really, really anticipating, and I know a lot of fans are, how Errol Spence is going to look when he comes back, if he comes back. Because I wouldn't doubt he retires soon without even fighting again, How is he going to look? Because certain fighters, man, fighters after a beating like that, those types of beatings, they're not the same anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I'm anticipating how Devin Haney, that's another example, how Devin Haney is going to look when he comes back. It's hard to say, man. I personally don't think Errol Spence is going to look the same anymore, man. I mean, obviously, it all depends also on his opponent. Who's his opponent going to be? Is it going to really be Fundora? After Fundora's win against Zhu, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'm sensing, and the purpose of this video is I'm feeling, or I'm sensing. I'm not saying it's like a I don't know how to explain it, but I see in Errol Spence's near future retirement. He's had a wonderful career, might I say. You know, I have to say this. I mean, must I say that Errol Spence has had an amazing career at welterweight division. I enjoyed it. You know, I definitely enjoyed his career. I enjoyed seeing all his fights. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. And I want to hear from you, you know, family, community. I want to hear in the comment sections. I want to see what you guys think about this. I mean, do you want to see him come back? I mean, if he does come back, I would love to see him fight, you know? I mean, I'm a boxing fan, you know? But I just think that he's towards the end. He's at the very end of his career, and I got to reiterate this. After seeing how he got beat by Bud Crawford, the way Bud Crawford beat him, I'm not so sure, man, that he's going to look the same anymore. And you add to that the inactivity. You add to that, you know, he doesn't live that trainer life in between fights. He just doesn't. We got to be factual about that. We got to be real on that. You know, blowing up in weight, he doesn't really, you know, he doesn't do that trainer lifestyle. And it's like a lot of these fighters, you know, a lot of these fighters out there, they start training when they get that phone call. It's time to fight. Okay, it's time to get up and start training, you know. You know, there's a select few like Bud Crawford, and there's some names out there that train in season and out of season. You know, when there's a fight, they're training. When there's no fight, they're training. You know, they just live like that. You know, Errol Spence, he hasn't been like that for the past few years, at least. You know, in my humble opinion, you know, it looks like that. So all these things that, you know, that you weigh in, all these factors that we consider, it leads me to believe that his retirement is right around the corner, man. It's right around the corner. But what do you think? I mean, and let me say this again. If he does rematch Bud Crawford, I don't think it's going to look good for him, man, at all. I mean, as far as his performance against Bud is just on another level, and he definitely proved it to me, you know, when he fought Spence, and wow, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see, man. I just wish the best, you know, for Errol Spence Jr., but I do think his retirement is right around the corner. So go ahead and comment in the comment section. Thank you guys so much, man. Renee Boxing, a platform where we simply discuss, critique, analyze, and talk about the sport of boxing in a level-headed, mature, coherent fashion. Share it up, like it up. You already know, man. Peace.
Okay. Renee asks, how much longer do you see yourself boxing?
Maybe 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
It just depends. When the young guys start beating me up, somebody told me a long time ago, when the young guys start beating you up, then you know it's your time to retire.
It's sparring?
Yeah, it's sparring. Yeah, it's your time to retire. When you see shots and you can't really react to them, you get caught with shots you shouldn't get caught with, and you know the guys that you've been beating up starting to catch you a little bit more and beat you up a little bit more, then it's time to hang it up. So when the young guys just start beating me up and I'm starting getting beat up a lot, then I'll just be like, yeah, I'm done. It's time to hang it up. So.